Welcome back to another episode of GA Talks. My name is Jassam. Thank you very much, guys, for supporting me. Thank you very much for being here with me. I think we started back in 2020. Yeah, in 2022 we started. So welcome back to another episode of GA Talks. My name is Jassam. We're going to delve into today's episode. Today, I want to announce that I left the BPO industry, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Stay tuned after this. All right, welcome back to another episode. All right, so now we're going to delve deep into it. We're going to talk about the BPO industry, what it was, and I think there's some scandals taking place in the BPO industry. So let's get into it. So now, for those of you who would have known me, I would have made videos on and off, on and off. Me start make video, me tap make video, me start make video, me tap make video. One of the challenges was the reason for me doing that was because, well, I work and well, I have other responsibilities and well, I mean, I make the money from this and well, I have to make money. You understand? So at the time when I originally started this, I was working and then I was also going to school and I was doing this. So it was a lot of work. And believe you me, trust me, editing videos are a lot. Editing videos, especially this video, a video like this, I know it's going to take like up to 18 to 20 hours of editing. It is not easy, especially when it is a faceless YouTube video. I deliberately chose the faceless brand. The persons who know me, apart from my close friends, you may not know how I look, and the reason it's deliberate because real and treatment, I don't want to be popular. I want to be able to walk into a store and miss a chin shop and oh my gosh, is this person? No, 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 no. I'm not interested in that day. So that's why y'all don't know how I look. But yeah, um, I post my content, and so it takes a lot of work in terms of editing, which is one of the major reasons I have not been consistent. And going to work, going to school, I remember back in 2022, I had two jobs. Having two jobs plus school plus YouTube was a recipe for disaster. So that was one of the reasons I was not consistent. The next reason was that equipment issues, whether it was my tablet at the time when I did all so far, the previous recordings were done on my tablet. On a different tablet and this tablet and the tablet start broke down. It's not broke down. Anyway, so that was another issue as well. So equipment issue. Finally I have my laptop computer. And I decided to really delve into the YouTube space because now I have time. I have a lot of time and I have the capacity now to be consistent. So that is one of the things one of the reasons why I'm returning to YouTube. And I have to work. I'm not working now. And so because I'm not working, I have to earn, I have to do something. So thank you very much for all of those guys who would have support me, who would have not have unsubscribed from me. Thank you very, very, very much. And I promise I'll be more consistent because we're going to be talking about more things, current affairs, politics. We're delving into that. Now, in terms of the BPO specifically, though, what would have happened initially? I would have left high school and I would have. It was a September. I was looking for a job, and somebody tell me about the call center. I'm like, "What is a call center? I never know not about a call center." Anyways, my cousins were working at a particular company. Should I call the names? No, I won't call the names. Yeah, and I applied. I didn't get through, but I got through at another call center. Now, this call center in Montego Bay is what people say it is the worst call center in Montego Bay. They also say that it is the university of all call centers. No, again, I will not call the names, but for those especially who are in Montego Bay, if you know, you know the call center me I talk about, right? Them say at the worst call center, a dog per road can go there. Back in 2015, I was there and I was getting a salary, yeah, of $180. My hourly rate was $180. Yeah, that was my hourly rate, $180. We couldn't do nothing with that. Me pay rent, me go back to school, whatever. And well, I never go back to school at the time, but me pay rent, light bill, water bill. Me just moved to Mobile. I was living, I was sleeping on the floor basically. Right, so how I originally started, I was sleeping on the floor. I had like just a mattress that I rent, and I was there with my cousins at the time, and we were sleeping on the floor, and it was hard. I was making like $30,000 a month. I was struggling. This is the first place and the only place where no, when you get paid, you're depressed. Normally, when you get paid, you're happy if you look up pay coming here. Although a little, you're glad for the pay. This was the first place where I got paid and I was depressed because the pay didn't make no sense. I was struggling. So there was that. Um, And so I had to leave. I spent how long did I spend there? From September until the day after the election. So the election in 2016 took place on the 26th of February when the Jamaican Labour Party won. Portia was the one who called the election, and I did the interview on the 20 for my other job for on the 26th of February. So the day after the election, I did the interview for the other job. Yeah. Anyways, the other job now. So I've worked in various capacities. One of my longest capacity that I've worked in is reservations. I have done reservations. I've done airplane reservations. I would have done hotel reservations. I would have done if I know hotel reservation, there's a next reservation I do man. Condo reservation. I would have done car rental reservations. Reservation. One of the things, and I was exposed to CSAT, customer satisfaction, where you're given a rating. So they at the end of the call them rate you. Honestly speaking, that is draining. These customers don't want your kiss their ass, you lick out them battle wall. I'm so sorry for being graphic, but that is the truth. And I could not, for the life of me, I could not meet their targets. I'm not telling a lie. That's not me. I'm so sorry. I customer service was never my thing, right? I don't have an ounce of customer service in me, and so from early I recognized that because the jobs they do require a lot from you, a lot of dedication, and yes, the cons was it felt like slavery. I recall just we don't have a call where my coworker be saying we're having a conversation, and that very same call center, the operation manager would come and pass. What's happening here? We're having a conversation. We must just sit down like robot because we don't look quote unquote productive. We must sit down and look like we're idiot. I just focus on our screen. I've experienced that, right? I have experienced you are as again, you are held accountable for not meeting the targets. So you're given targets, key performance indicators. Now, for those of the persons who do not know what a call center is like, let me break it down for you because you might not know what's a call center. So let me give you in perspective. Let us say you have let's call a call center. Make up an if a call center. Horizon A Solutions. I don't know why, but almost every call center them have the name solutions upon them. So there is Southern and Global Solutions, ITEL BPO Solutions, Radius Global Solutions, Global Gateway Solutions. I don't know call center solutions. It would irritate the hell out of me where all of them a call center have solutions upon them. I don't know what is the solutions. Anyways, so let us say we have a call center named New Horizon Call Center. And New Horizon Call Center would have had a contract. So therefore, let us say, let's use a Jamaican company, Grace Kennedy. Let us say now Grace Kennedy has a contract, decides to go with a contract with New Horizons Call Center. So what will happen now is if it is that you're calling Grace Kennedy, right? You need to call Grace Kennedy to deal with, for example, a product. You're doing a product inquiry, you're making orders, you're filing a complaint, whatever the situation is, you're going to call Grace Kennedy. You see that customer service number that you dial to call Grace Kennedy? And a Grace Kennedy can pick up a New Horizon call center. So there's a specific department. So New Horizon call center is going to have a specific department that where it has a set number of employees, and they're going to answer the phone and say, "Thank you for calling Grace Kennedy. My name is so and so. How may I help you today?" You're not calling the company, you're calling New Horizon, right? Let's give an example. Let's just say now, um, Johnson and Johnson. You're going to call Johnson and Johnson would have also, so New Horizon would have had a contract with Grace Kennedy, right? So there's a specific department that deals with that. There's a room, a big production room where you take calls for at New Horizon Call Center, but you take calls on behalf of Grace Kennedy. They have a separate room for so for example, Johnson and Johnson. They have a separate room for Toyota. They have a separate room for BMW. So New Horizon Call Center would have contracts with various different businesses. And so when New Horizon Call Center has a contract with various different businesses, when you apply to go to the call center, depending on on the need, whichever department, or they call it account or client, right? And so the account or the client would be either um Grace Kennedy, whether it be Johnson and Johnson, whoever the company that New Horizon Call Center would have a contract with, they're going to be the company. You're going to be working under that company, basically speaking. Every company pays different. So you find that on this particular account, which is you're representing a particular client, you get a different pay than a different account. So again, if I'm working for Johnson and Johnson, I may get a $500 rate, hourly rate. But then if I'm working for Grace Kennedy, my rate may be $450 hourly. So we both work for the same company. We're getting two different salaries, right? And so the payout, the incentive may be different. So for Grace Kennedy, the maximum payout you can get for incentive may be $20,000, and it may be $20,000 once a month or $20,000 every fortnight, depending on their structure and how it is. Whereas you're doing for Johnson and Johnson, a $15,000 I get. So it depends on the structure and what the agreement that they would have. So New Horizon will have a different agreement with this company than they'll have an agreement with another company as well. So all of New Horizon has over 2,000 employees, and the 2,000 employees are divided into the different departments in which they're working for the different company. And so because they're working for the different company, everybody has a different salary. Some people may surprisingly be lucky, have the same salary, some people may not. And separate from that, some departments may also have what are called overtime as well. All right. So it's all different. So when I was working at a particular company and I was working at a hotel, everybody wanted to go on that account because I just had the money there. Because really and truly, so I was giving my salary was $425 an hour, but then separate from that, my incentive itself, which was fortnightly, every fortnight, I was being paid up to 60 something thousand dollars. A lie, a lie, a lie, a lie, a lie. It was like $38,000. Me did I get. Plus my BSP. And then when they do overtime, then do double time. So no time and a half, then do double time as well. I made a lot of money there as well. So it depends on the call center that you some call center, it depends on the client, it depends on the structure that it is at. Now I've been at various call centers, maybe a whole call center. And at the different call centers, they have different rules. Some of them are similar, but some of them are different. Some of them is the same thing right across the board. Again, it's all different. Every call center is unique. Um, you know that a client is crappy where when they use the incentive is tied to everybody's performance. So I'll give you an example. It's a case where, let us say, based on the if everybody, so let's say it's CSAT, which is customer satisfaction, right? How customer satisfaction works, you have at the end of the call, the customer either gets an email, or when you hang up, the customer is sent to a survey in which they press from 1 to 5 on their phone how they rate you. One means that they're dissatisfied, and five means that they're satisfied, and and two, three, and four in the sense that are basically a waste of time, right? Some cases it's yes and no, and so um based on your performance, based on what you do, um they'll give you off one or five or in between. Now, the more fives you get, the better chance you have, and it's done in percentages. So they'll set a target, key performance indicator, and the target is your fives are supposed to be 80%. So if your survey is around 80%, you get $10,000. If your third survey is 70%, you get $5,000, for example. So that's a part of your incentive. So um at the end of the call, they would, give a rating. But then no, a crappy call center will say, based on the collection, based on everybody's performance on the team, or everybody's performance in the entire department, if it comes, so the average is above 80%, you're going to get a payout. That is deliberate, and that is crappy, because even though I'm performing and I'm meeting the goals, the other person may not be performing and meeting the goals. And if the other person is not performing and meeting the goals, that will drag down the average percentage. And if most persons are not performing and meeting the goals, then you're not going to, well, it's going to pull down the percentage, and you're not going to meet the target. If you don't meet the target, you don't get any money. So why is it then that my target is tied to somebody else's performance? That is a copy call center. Not the call center, the client is crappy. There are times when really and truly it's the call center itself that is disgusting. There are also times as well it's really and truly the client that is disgusting. And you can tell, right? It depends. Sometimes, so for if there's the call center that is disgusting, you'll see that in their book, in their what you call it again, in their rules, their regulations, in their handbook. You'll see that there. I recall again as working at a particular call center, and we were not. I get it. You're not supposed to have your cell phones on the production floor, but you had to go outside of the building to use your phone. So you couldn't even use your phone in the cafeteria. That is foolishness. You cannot even use your phone in the cafeteria. That is foolishness. I'm going to speak about the fact that I remember when I was doing surveys, this is a particular call center, and I was doing a survey that was a part of the KPI. So there are different KPIs, the targets that you're supposed to meet. And so again, CSAT is one, but QA is another as well. So when the QA, which is somebody who listens to your call, QA stands for quality assurance, and they listen to your call, they're just going to pull random calls. And when they pull the random call and they listen to it, they mark it. Did you do the opening correctly? Did you greet the person correctly? Did you verify the caller correctly? Did you do a particular sales pitch that was mandatory on the call correctly? They're looking out for these different things that you're supposed to say on the call, and that's how they mark you. And so maybe QA is supposed to be 80% and above, you get an extra amount of money. So you might get $5,000 for QA. Another target that you may get is attendance as well. If you have good attendance, you get a next one. Another target is handle time. Now, what is handle time? Average handle time is how long you spend on the call. So now, at this particular call center, you should not spend more than 3 minutes on the call. That is very short. 3 minutes is very short. And so you have to follow a script, right? So you're given a call script that you're supposed to follow. You're supposed to say things in this particular order, right? In order, when QA pull a call, they're going to follow the script and ensure that you say this and that to the customer in the particular order. And so you're supposed to do that while your handle time is supposed to be low, right? Now, one of the challenges I found, because remember, the customers are going to want to ask questions, the customers are going to have concerns, hassle, and so forth. So you're supposed to be on the call for 2 minutes, sorry, for 3 minutes rather. But and don't get me wrong, they don't expect you to be on all calls for 3 minutes and less, because there's some calls that are going to be high. But on the calls that are going to be high, you make that up with more smaller calls or shorter calls. So therefore, that's why it's called AHT, average handle time, because it's the average amount. Now, imagine you are on the call for you're trying to meet your average handle time, but the customer is going to ask a lot of questions. And so because the customer is asking a lot of questions, you're not meeting your handle time. And when you're not meeting your handle time, you're held accountable for not meeting your handle time. You start get coaching for handle time until it start escalate to write up. But then no, let me see. Okay, then so you're in an effort to not to meet in your handle time, you would have abandoned the call flow, the how you're supposed to meet, speak on the call. So now you're meeting the abandoned time. Sorry, you're meeting the handle time rather, but you are not meeting the QA, and you're getting serious markdowns on the QA. Or the customer satisfaction is awful, because here's the thing: when you run the customer off of the line, yeah, yeah, they're gonna give you a bad survey. So it's like, you have you have the QA, you have the average handle time, you have the survey, and these three different KPIs are fighting against each other, because if you meet one KPI, you're not going to meet the other KPI. If you meet the other KPI, you're not going to meet the other KPI. And so basically, you are put against each other. It was a high stressful environment that I wish not to be in anymore. That is the call center industry. Yeah. Another con that I recognized as well, I recall, so for example, this particular call center, I had to do, we were supposed to do American Express. So for every 100 calls, you're supposed to pitch, well, by right, um, you're supposed to pitch American Express credit card to the customer on every call, but the target was you were at least supposed to have at least 1% for every 100 call. Cool. There was this particular individual who was performing above average, and he was at 8%. Now remember, everybody's just under their 1%, and he was performing at 8%, 10%, and he was showing off that he could do this. And you know what happened? The client, so let us say again, we're going to use an example. The client is Grace Kennedy, right? Let me just use an example. Grace Kennedy. Grace Kennedy, if you're listening, I know I'm just using an example. But anyways, let's just say Grace Kennedy see the stats and realize, say, if this one person is going 8%, you know what happened? They raised it for all of us. So that's another thing. So when you have one outlier, one person who is doing exceptionally well, and the rest of us were doing the same, when they realize that one person is doing exceptionally well, they raise it for everybody. And so now you are having to work even harder in meeting the targets. And again, if you're not meeting the targets, you're gonna get right up and you're gonna lose your work. Yes, I have been fired before. So that's another issue in the call situation in the call center as well. Another thing in the call center, I recall vividly this particular call center. Now it was basically collections. You're collecting money, so it was reservation at the time, and based on they do track the amount of money that you make. So every time a person books a reservation and they pay with their debit card or their credit card, the figures are $10, $50, $30. The money adds up, and so on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, it shows in your stats and your performance. Cool. Now let us say on average, I think let us say that the you're expected to make let's say $20,000 a month. So each person is supposed to make $20,000, and if you make the $20,000, you're going to get a part of your payout, a part of your incentive. You're going to get $5,000 Jamaican dollars. Yes, if you make the $20,000, we're giving examples now. Now, when you do that, now let us say that instead of making the $20,000, we're making $30,000, and most persons are making $25,000, $30,000, and people are just making that with ease. You know what they do? They raise it by you. So now the goal post is no longer $20,000 for the month. The goal post is now $30,000 for the month. So for those who are struggling to making the $20,000, it is harder for you, because guess what? Yay, everybody was making it. So you find that no, a lot of persons don't want to work too hard because when they work too hard, they raise it on you. And if everybody, you find that when everybody is meeting their targets, no, 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 you're making too much money. It's risen on you. I have stories. There was this particular call center, which was an awful call center, and I recall, um, so we got weekends off. It was a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift, and they observed American holiday. The call center itself is not paying you for the American holiday. So because of that, those Americans, say for example, you had Martin Luther King Day, you have President's Day, and so on a day, Thanksgiving Day, and so on a day, yeah, day with cool. And so they don't pay you for those days. And because they don't pay you for those days, we're going to have to find ways to either make up hours, but we can't make up hours because the shift is set to 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you're going to remember we work 40 hours a week, and if you work 40 hours per week, and on that particular American holiday, you're not going to get paid. How is it going to work? Well, a white woman who was the director recommended to use her vacation. hmm Legal in Jamaica, you get 10 days vacation. Now, with the exception of Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and the only reason why we got paid for Christmas Day and New Year's Day because both America and the United States celebrates Christmas Day and New Year's Day as public holidays. The remaining 8 days they have other holidays, and there are like 10 public holidays per year. Both Jamaica, I believe, and America has 10 different public holidays per year. And so the other 8 public holidays, it was a case where the lady was suggesting to use our vacation. The director, and how she suggested it so nonchalant. You know? Now, in the Jamaican system, you get 10 days. You get 10 days per year for a vacation. And the lady from America was suggesting to use the 10 days. So every time you get an American public holiday where you're not working, she wanted us to use a day. She wanted to subtract a day from our vacation to pay for the day that we're not, for the American holiday that we're not going to work. So when we're ready to take our vacation, we're only going to be able to use, we only have 2 days for ourselves for vacation. While she, I recall vividly, because all she used to do, is go on booking.com, because we used to sit on our computer. They were on a platform and we were like on the ground, and we would look up, and I may see a hotel reservation she used to do. hmm And so the operations manager, which was a Jamaican, she said that made no sense, and she was creative enough to say, okay, then, well, because Jamaica had 10 days um public holidays, and we in America had 10 days, she was creative enough to say, okay, then we have to sign it where, um, because normally in Jamaica, as per Jamaican labor law, when you work on an American, sorry, when you work when you work on a Jamaican public holiday, you get double paid, right? So the extra pay that we would have gotten for the Jamaican public holiday, that was to be used to cover the pay for the American holidays in which we were not going to work for, in an effort to save our Jamaican vacations. Yeah, yeah. I'm adding my 2 cents. That is my experience. That was back in 2018, vividly. So this is what the call center has. Now Let us look at the pros of the call center. Because I've been delving a lot on the cons. No, the pros of the call center. well, at least some call centers, I felt at home. The supervisors weren't so disgusting. I felt like they were just normal, regular people. I have been in situations, no, by right, you're not supposed to surf on the internet, but I got away with this. I recall when I was studying for business administration management, and people up on the internet are surf by YouTube, people watch show. No, for me, while people were, what did I watch show? Me take the time and the opportunity to figure class. So I recall I had a 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift, and like from September to like December, season starts like every hour you'd get calls. You never have another calls. And so because of that, I joined Zoom at Pandy People in Class and Pandy People in Computer and joined class. I was at heart, and I did my assessments on multiple occasions. When I had assessment, when I had a project to do, I would go to work and log into my Outlook email and do my assessments there, and automatically, because with Outlook and it's Microsoft are the same thing, I guess. And so yeah, I was able to do all my got work, me do my assignment, me come home, me just continue because automatically updated. So me just continue. That was a perk. I love that. Um, Another perk that I got, as I said, the environment at, again, this is not at every call center, but this is at some. It was a sense of camaraderie. It was a sense of I didn't have any issues with anyone, and I was comfortable there. Yeah, I was very comfortable. There wasn't any pressure on performance. Like, don't let me make it clear. That doesn't mean that you should not perform. You're supposed to meet the people and go and meet the people and target. But there wasn't. Oh my gosh, you were supposed to. If you slip, some days it's not a big deal. You understand? Because at the end of the day, we're human beings. So there wasn't a pressure to be perfect. I believe that at other call centers, what was happening was that the client would pressure the managers would pressure the supervisors, and so the supervisors, and in turn, pressure we. And when we, the agents, never made it, they write we up because guess what? The manager them are gonna write up the supervisors. You understand for not meeting the work the targets. So there was a lot of pressure. I mean, can't deal with the pressure. Honestly speaking, me can't deal with it. But yeah, um, at a particular call center, I never felt that. The reason I had to leave and I had to resign was because I got sick. I got sick. I wasn't work. I couldn't go to work for over a month because I was sick. Right. That's one of the, like literally the best call centers I've ever worked at. Let me make it clear. Wasn't no stress or anything. Another pro was it gives you a starting level. The fact of the matter is there are over 50,000 Jamaicans who are working in the BPO industry. And I want to talk about that because what has happened, it provides employment for a lot of mostly young people. Yes, there are old people there, but mostly young people. So when they leave high school, they have something to do. You understand? The reality is, and let's just be real. Without the call center, a lot of us would not have reached where we are. So as much as it is disgusting, it has some disgusting ways and disgusting people in it. The reality is, it is feeding a lot of people, and that is the truth. And I have to be honest. When it is because of the call center where I was able to buy my laptop, my tablet, I recall this when I moved back into my parents' house. My phone mash up, my laptop mash up, never nothing, and I can, because I started working, I bought a tablet. I started working and I saved. And last year I bought my laptop. I started working. Because I was working, I bought the different things. So that the reason I'm here right now, I have my equipment to do the job, to produce on YouTube, was because of the call center. Right now, I have my headset on. I ordered it off Sheen because of the call center. Right now, my equipment, I've used both my tablet and my laptop. I have a tablet stand, I have my cell phone, I have a webcam. I'm using these things because of the funds that I got from the call center. So to be knocking the call center to say, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever. Well, you use it. Yes, the aim is to use it as a stepping stone to say that you'll not be there forever. And what has happened was, or what has happened in the past, is that a lot of Jamaicans, we say that we're going to use it as a stepping stone, but then we get pregnant, we get pitney, and so life happens, and you're dependent upon the one salary. That's what happens, right? It is a step. I believe that a call center is specifically for people who just left high school, and you feel that they feel like a 5 years. If you are not a manager, if you don't you know have something, leave. No, let me make it clear as well. The reality is, because myself, I've been in the call center for over 10 years. So imagine me saying, oh, be in the call center for 5 years and then leave. The reality is also that in Jamaica, land we love, there's not a lot of opportunities outside of the call center. It is extremely scarce. Unless it is a case where you have a master's degree and you're specialized like in an engineering or accounting. These are places that are and these are disciplines that people generally don't want to go to. So if you're going to be like doing a master's or engineering where there's not much competition, it's going to be or medical field in it, becoming a nurse, becoming a doctor. These things where people generally not going to, you know, if you go to business, it's going to be hard to get a job. And I did business. But my tertiary level education is in business. Yeah, yeah. And so I guess that was where I went wrong, and that's why I couldn't get the job outside of the call center. I could only get the call center jobs because a business me do. That's a different story for a different time. But yeah, um, with the call center, it provides jobs for a lot of Jamaicans. And that's just the honest truth. Because of the call center, again, remember I indicated earlier in the story that when I was living in Montego Bay at the time, and I was sleeping on the bed, and I was able to move out. I was living with my cousin at the time. I was sleeping on the ground. My story is so mixed up. I was sleeping on the floor in September of 2015, and I was able to work, and I got my bed, I got my dresser, I got my TV, I got my stove. I was able to move out, I get my settee. I moved into my own apartment, and I filled up that empty. It was a kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, living room, and I filled up that apartment with furniture because of the call center. So to knock the call center and say, "Oh my gosh," so because believe it or not, there's a stigma, especially with Jamaicans who are in the corporate Jamaica, and people, the upper middle class Jamaicans, there is a sense of stigma and a sense of look down for people working the call center. But the reality is, a lot of us, even when we do what is right, even when we do get the education, even when we do follow the original way in terms of going to school and getting an education and doing this and getting that, you find that you're not getting no out there. And the contrast is, and yes, Jamaica's unemployment rate is low. Don't get me wrong, it is low, but it is low because um the jobs that are being afforded or that are in demand, a call center, security, folk a restaurant, folk in the hotel. You're not gonna say no office work. Hardly to never. And majority of those office works that you see that are there, the vacancies, when you see the Ministry of Health putting out a vacancy, or you see a different what should I say no government organization putting out a vacancy, a lot of those government jobs, them are the line of who they plan to get the work to. Nepotism and links run Jamaica, unfortunately. And so them already done said who am I gonna get the work to, so therefore you're there applying for a job and nobody now look on that. Another issue is as well, whenever you have a government job, if it is a skill that is within the generalized sector, so therefore again you're applying for the role of medical records clerk. So a clerk position or a secretary position where only 156 is subject, you find more people are going to apply for that, because so you have one vacancy and 600 somebody apply for the one work. You understand? And so it's harder, which is why I said unless you're doing something a specialty in terms of you're going to become an accountant, you're going to become an engineer, you're going to become a doctor. These are things that not a lot of persons go to. People don't like maths, people like the hard work. You're going to do something in IT. It's going to be easier for you to get a job there than to get a job um in the generalized pool, because in the generalized pool you have more people there. So yeah, m- with the call center industry though, in all honesty, it has good and bad. My final verdict though is, I believe it has its place in Jamaica. And so right now, oh yes, I should also point out that AI is going to change everything. Also, that's another thing we need to discuss. AI is going to change everything. And so AI is coming in. There's something called fintech, financial tech, and I would have read the budget, not the budget, I'm sorry, the manifesto of the Jamaican Labour Party government. And even though they would not have said it outright, what is taking place, AI is going to take over a lot of jobs. And so we are moving from just saying thank you for calling so and so, because AI is going to be doing that. We're moving into financial tech and fintech, and correction, not fintech, we're moving into KPO. So we'll be moving in a couple of years from now, it will no longer be the BPO, the business processing outsourcing. It's going to be the KPO, the knowledge process outsourcing. Whereas it is more knowledge. So for those of you who are in the BPO industry still and you're listening to the sound of my voice, please ensure, and this is a warning, upskill yourself. If you are going to still be in the BPO industry, I implore you to go to heart and upskill yourself, because what is going to happen is that the value is going to increase, and if the value is going to increase, more is going to be required of you in terms of your work output. The basic jobs that we're going to be doing in terms of thank you for calling is going to be replaced by AI, and when AI take replace that job, those jobs, a lot of persons may or may not be laid off, because capitalism dictates that it is going to be cheaper to have AI take over the work. And so, what is going to make you stand out is your specialty. So, therefore, if it is that if you're good in IT, if you're good in accounts, these are going to be the things that will determine whether your employability is going to be sustained in the knowledge base outsourcing instead of um, BPO, right? So, yeah, we're moving to the from the BPO to the KPO. That is where we're going, and so it is imperative and important that all of us, not well, I am upskilling myself actually, even though I'm no longer working in the call center. I am upskilling myself as well, but specifically for those in the BPO industry, ensure that you upskill yourself. Ensure that you improve your marketability so that you can still have a job. Because yes, we're seeing there's going to be a shift in the jobs, and yes, the salary is going to increase, right? But yes, you can also lose your job if it is that you're not upskilled. So that's another thing as well. So the BPO has its place. I implore everyone though to upskill themselves. I implore everyone to save, and not just save, invest as well. I implore you to save and invest. And if it is that you're using it as a stepping stone, use it as a stepping stone. Hold your head down, do the work, save, do not waste your time, and use it as a stepping stone. All right? Thank you. And so that is the end of my video for today, for this week. And I will be delving more into more controversial issues that's in. So I will be talking about, for example, for next week, I want to talk about and deal with the political landscape, the budget that the government would have announced, the $1.4 billion budget. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be going through that with a fine tooth comb. We will be going through that also as well. If you like my work, if you want to support me, you're in the diaspora, you can support my Patreon. The link is in the bio. Yes, we're on Patreon. And also as well, for those persons who, if it is that you are a Patreon supporter, you're going to get early access. But separate from that, yes, I'm into writing. Oh my gosh, I have a book out. It's called The Female King, guys. Yes, it's called The Female King. And I ask for your support if you're interested. If reading is your thing, the female king is going to be for you. Also, as well, I have a center page blueprint I would have submitted to the office of the Prime Minister, also the PIOG, also to Senator Ambassador Marks. And I want to share the ideas with you because we're going to be brainstorming that as well. This is something that we're going to go into as well. You see, it is imperative, it is important for us as citizens, instead of just sitting down and listen and just allowing the government to do whatever, we have to get involved. This is our time, our purpose to get involved. What is happening in the government, asking the right questions. And so, especially with this document, this is going to teach you of how to ask the right questions. This is going to teach you how to think outside of the box. So therefore, if you want to support me, link is in the bio. My Patreon is there, and I thank you very much for your support. Always remember, guys, please never forget your independence is the foundation of your liberation. Have a blessed day, guys.
Yeah, September 2015, that's where the journey began. 11 years deep inside the call center land. Took every call, played the part, was the company man. March 2026, I'm executing a different plan. Hanging up the headset, walking out to the sun. A new chapter for Jason Productions has just begun. Gave him the blueprint, showed him what could be done. The female king is coming, my real work has just begun. So follow the journey, support the dream on Patreon. This is JA Talks and the executive director is on. Yeah, the executive director is on.